Good afternoon. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you're having a blessed day so far. Today is October 4th. Um, Man, this year is going by so fast. But there's been recent developments in the whereabouts of Hassan Nasrallah's successor, Mr. Hashem Safa al-Din, whatever his name is, his successor, that they were not sure what happened to him, if he was killed in a blast in Beirut. They just didn't know where he was. So I'm getting some news reports that it's being confirmed that he was in fact eliminated, and I'll post the story that I have. But I've seen on Telegram and also on like 2 or 3 different news sites that he has been eliminated. And this is happening, this announcement or this confirmation is being made on the same day that Hassan Nasrallah himself is being buried. They're having his funeral today. So we're on different time zones here in America than Iran, so they may have already had his funeral, but I know that it said that his funeral would be on Friday. So yeah, they're having his funeral today, and they're confirming that they have IDF is saying that they did in fact kill his successor, who was also his first cousin. So yeah, that's something else. The supreme leader, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, he appeared today, came out of hiding and gave a speech today in Tehran praising Iran's missile attack on Israel, in which he describes as legal and legitimate. Now, the Ayatollah has said that that was the least punishment that Israel will suffer, and that is the least punishment that Iran will impose on Israel. So, like I said, also today is Hassan Nasrallah's funeral, and there is a story I'm going to post on here from the news that shows that they are having a prayer, but they're also having like a mourning session where you see many people crying and things and holding pictures of Hassan Nasrallah, because today is in fact his funeral. So I guess this is why the Ayatollah decided to pop out and show, his gun. They said he had a gun, flexing his gun, but he was at the prayer meeting. He was in tears crying and honoring Hassan Nasrallah. But I didn't think that he would pop up, because they said he was underground hiding because he was scared for his life, because he knows that Israel is looking for him to kill him too. So that was a very bold move for him to come out and lead this prayer, because they said he hadn't led a prayer meeting in 5 years. And that was only when he was honoring the the guy Soleimani, who Trump had assassinated I think the SEALs assassinated him. But anyway, the CIA or the SEALs had assassinated Soleimani, and that's the reason why Iran has a hit out on Trump right now, because he was killed. But that's the last time that the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini led a prayer meeting was 5 years ago when he was assassinated. So today, for the first time in 5 years, he led another prayer meeting, and this was in honor of Hassan Nasrallah. So that's the reason why you see a somber mood amongst them, and people crying in the audience and holding his picture, because today they're burying him today, and they probably got word or confirmation that his successor was in fact eliminated too, because they're saying that, well, Israel is saying that with the strikes that they landed on that building where he was, or where they think he was, they said that if he was in there, he either was killed by the bomb blast or he didn't survive because he is trapped in the rubble, where he's going to die from lack of oxygen and starvation and just being buried alive, basically. So either way it goes, the IDF is saying that he is in fact dead. So yeah, that's that. Wayne County, Michigan suffered a cyber incident, which has now been confirmed to be a cyber attack that shut down the county's government website and most of its government services on Wednesday. So Wayne County officials don't know the source of the cyber attack, but they were working with the FBI to figure out what happened and expect to have the website fully restored today. So they did suffer a cyber attack. First, they was calling it a cyber incident, but then it's been confirmed that it was, in fact, a cyber hack or a cyber attack of some kind. This is getting close to the election, so there's going to be probably a lot of hacks and cyber attacks. I expect it to be so close, you know. So this is October 4th. Election is November 4th or November 5th. So yeah, expect a lot of that. A lot of bots, a lot of hacks, a lot of cyber attacks. Yeah, that's going to happen. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to rig the voting machines or something like that. They just put a woman in jail for 9 years for trying to do that in, was she in Colorado or Arizona? They gave her 9 years. But what's her name? Tina Peters. They gave her 9 years, but I'm not posting a story about her. I don't care about her. That's just concerning the election. That ain't got nothing to do with it. It's end time corruption, but it ain't got nothing to do with what's about to happen to this world. So we ain't gonna worry about her. I just mentioned that. I identified another harbinger in the news with this Hurricane Helene. So Hurricane Helene upended a small town called Damascus, Virginia in Washington County, Virginia. Now, Damascus is a little small town with a population of about 800 that was evacuated during the hurricane. The downtown, I was seeing pictures where it sustained heavy damage. Houses were destroyed. Streets and buildings were full of debris and blocked off, and bridges had debris. But there were no reported deaths in Damascus. So 150 people did have to be rescued from the water off the top of cars, and some transported by boats and kayaks to dry ground. Like I said, many homes and cars were destroyed. There were cars actually in the houses. I guess they floated in the houses from, all the water. And sinkholes can be seen across the town and debris on the bridges. So, just as described in Isaiah 17, the town is in ruins pretty much. To me, that's another harbinger of, what is about to happen to Damascus and Syria as a result of the Israeli Defense Forces attacking Syria and Lebanon and Iran. Damascus is going to be ruined. So this Damascus that's ruined over here in America, the Bible did say Damascus will come to ruins. Damascus, Virginia is in ruins as a result of this hurricane. And Damascus, Syria is going to be ruined too. They've already been hit. They've already been attacked by Israel. So I look for Damascus to be ruined in the near future. MSN is reporting strange skyquakes have been heard around the world for more than 200 years, and they decided to post a story on these skyquakes. So the first skyquake was heard in New Madrid, Missouri, during a 7.2 magnitude earthquake in 1811. They said they've also had witnesses say they heard the skyquakes in Belgium, Japan, and New York. So these skyquakes sound like gunshots or like a car backfiring, and scientists don't know what causes them. So they think, and they're just hypothesizing when they say they think it is meteor explosions, military exercises, quarry blasts, distant storms, earthquakes, or just simply space rocks exploding on impact when colliding with the Earth. So they're just guessing, hypothesizing. They don't know. So yeah, skyquakes. We might have heard some. All they know that it is not from seismic activity coming from the Earth. they said they are occurring in the atmosphere as opposed to coming from shaking in the ground. So those are actually skyquakes, like loud booms or shots or sounds coming from the atmosphere. So the last skyquake, they said, was heard by residents in 15 Alabama counties in 2017. And they said the National Weather Service reported that it couldn't explain the noise and could only hypothesize what the people heard. So I have a feeling that we will be hearing another skyquake, a big skyquake, pretty soon. A skyquake when Jesus come back, that's going to be the biggest skyquake and earthquake. So, but yeah, I didn't know anything about skyquakes. I just thought they were like, but no, loud thunder doesn't sound like gunshots or cars backfiring. Thunder is boom, like, yeah, that's not a, yeah, skyquake can be distinguished from loud thunder. So yeah, these people said they heard these skyquakes, and people have been hearing them for 200 years. That's something interesting. Also, God has further confounded scientists because satellite imaging has confirmed that Antarctica is turning green. The scientists are they've expressed concern, quote unquote, that Antarctica is turning green with vegetation and plant life on its landscape, despite Antarctica being the only inhabitable continent on Earth. They can't go down there to study Antarctica because it's too cold. It's considered the coldest place on Earth, so they can't go down there trying to roam around and adventure and hike and do whatever they do, trying to test fate and learn stuff and play God. They can't go down to Antarctica to do anything. Only thing they can do is look at Antarctica by satellites that are up in space. They can look down into Antarctica via satellites up in space, but they cannot go to Antarctica. Because humans, I've seen over the years, they've tried to hike Antarctica or whatever for attention and ended up losing their lives because you just cannot, it's not fit for human habitation at all. So they're saying that it's considered the coldest place on Earth, but it has experienced record-breaking heat waves recently. I posted a story about the Thwaites Glacier melting a couple of weeks ago. That glacier is like the size of Florida, and they said that it is melting faster than they expected due to climate change. There they go with that climate change again. So they're saying Antarctica experienced record-breaking temperatures of nearly 50 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in mid-July this year. And in March 2022, it reached nearly 70 degrees Fahrenheit above normal 2 years ago. And again, they call it climate change, quote unquote. But I call it the end time and the earth is about to burn. That's what I call it. It says end time. What they used to call it global warming, now they call it climate change. I call it on its way to hell, about to burn when Jesus comes back. So, yeah. Also, the High Court in the European Union has ruled that its 27 member countries must legally recognize gender changes made in other countries. So, in other words, if you are born a man and you have a sex change in Mexico or America or somewhere, the European Union requires its 27 member states to legally and formally recognize that person who was born a man and went and had gender reassignment surgery. The EU countries must now recognize that person as a woman or female. So that's further biblical prophecy where in the end times people will call evil good and good evil. You're calling a woman a man and a man a woman, although that person was born a man, he's now legally considered a woman according to this wicked world. General Motors has paused production in two of its major plants in Flint, Michigan and Arlington, Texas, due to disruptions in the food chain caused by first the Hurricane Helene and then the port workers strike. So a lot of the suppliers are experiencing delays, so they had to halt production and shut down the shifts in those two plants. And these are major plants because they manufacture, or they produce trucks, heavy duty trucks in those plants. So that means that people will have lost wages. Their checks will be short if they don't have any paid leave available. And this can further put workers and their families in the hole. You know, if their checks are 2-3 days short, and the GM spokesman said they don't know when they're going to resume production. So these people are out of work until further notice. So, yeah, this hurricane has impacted a lot of people, even people that, even up in Michigan and in Texas, where Hurricane Helene didn't even touch ground. They didn't even, it wasn't affected weather-wise, but it's affecting people economically. So, yeah. Pray for those people and the people who were directly affected by Hurricane Helene. And finally, there has been 19 people killed due to floods and landslides in Bosnia now. It's been reported that houses and cars are submerged and entire towns are also cut off in Bosnia now. So a number of people are still missing. It says roads, bridges, and train tracks were washed away, and bridges are completely blocked by debris. It says floods have washed away roads in Montenegro, while water levels have rose in some of Croatia's rivers and Zagreb's rivers. I've never heard of this country. Zagreb's Kupa River, or Kupa River, Kupa. I may be mispronouncing this river's name, but this is either still Storm Boris, or this may be another storm. I don't know. I haven't checked to see if, but it's just non-stop rain. It has been non-stop rain over in Central and Eastern Europe. Let's see. What did I say? That was Bosnia. Bosnia. Is that Boris? Storm Boris? Because, Boris tore up Italy, Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary. So I'm wondering, was this Boris that did this? Hurricane Boris? It doesn't say. Oh, I didn't see that. Last month, baby among at least 10 people who drowned after a migrant boat overturned on Serbia-Bosnia border. They be dying to get away from their countries. That's so sad. But, yeah, there's another flood out in Bosnia. Remember, I reported yesterday that there was another typhoon, and this wasn't even a major typhoon, but they said it was something weird. I quote the article. It was something weird about this typhoon that hit the Philippines and Taiwan. I mean, it's just non-stop rain. It's like the world's water is breaking. And then you got the hurricanes and the earthquakes, and now you got the skyquakes. I just learned about these skyquakes, but they've been around obviously for 200 years. It's just like the birth pains, like the Bible said, what Jesus says, the beginning of birth pains, and they're getting more and more intense every day, day after day. So as we await the fate of Hurricanes Kirk and Leslie in the Gulf of Mexico, that they say might hit Florida. So we're going to see. Matter of fact, I have not checked to see the updates on that hurricane. Hurricane Kirk. Let's see what's the latest on them. On this, it says, where's heading to? What to know? That's 6 hours ago. Let's see if they have anything more recent. Hurricane Kirk affecting Brevard Beach conditions this weekend, early next week. That's Florida news source. Hurricane Kirk, a powerful category, it's already a Category 4 with 145 mile per hour winds. Friday is far out in the Atlantic Ocean, but it will still affect Brevard's beaches. The storm is expected to move toward the northwest at a speed of at least 10 miles per hour over the weekend. Forecasters said the system shouldn't bring much rain to the Space Coast, but there will be rough marine conditions. So they're not really expecting it to do much because it's way out in the ocean, they say, but you just never know. Sometimes if things can turn on a dime. Saturday afternoon, we'll see the first signs will appear with swells starting around 1 foot and increasing to 5 feet. Sunday and Monday are the peak times when Brevard's coastline will be impacted. Kelly cautioned beachgoers to rethink entering the water. So it's not expected to bring much. So hopefully it just keep on and go on somewhere. They're saying that it's going to go more toward Bermuda. So hopefully, Lord willing, it just goes out further and miss the states pretty much, because like I said, I don't know if we could take another major hurricane, a Category 4 or 5 after Helene, because it would be just too much. Then Tropical Storm Leslie gains strength. They said she's gaining strength. So all right, y'all, that's the best thing we have to do is just wait and see what these things do. Leslie is 645 miles southwest of the southernmost Cabo Verde Islands. I mean Capo Verde. I've never heard of Cabo Verde. Is Capo Verde? Leslie has gained a little strength according to the NHC, the National Hurricane Center. Maximum sustained winds are 60 miles per hour. So those two hurricanes are out there in the Gulf, Leslie and Kirk. So we just have to wait and see, y'all. But just like I said, stay prayed up, keep your loved ones close, and if you haven't been saved, please get saved, because the time is just it's getting near. You can't put it off too much longer, and God has sent too many people to warn you. Too many people to tell you how to get saved. Too many people to not be left behind and have to deal with the for real destruction and devastation that's about to come upon this world, and to not have to suffer the consequences eternally or through eternity. We have been trying to warn people and lead people, to the Lord, so that they will not have to perish with the devil and the rest of these wicked demon people. But that's the only thing we can do. That's the only thing we will do, and that's the only thing that we're required to do. So, okay, y'all, we're following the news. If anything else comes up, I will be back on. All right? Peace. God bless.
Khamenei, in fact, addressed this large Friday prayer gathering. And as you mentioned, indeed, this is the second time that he has publicly addressed the Friday prayers in the last 10 years. He last addressed a Friday prayer 5 years ago when, in order to commemorate the death of Soleimani, who was the commander of the Iran's elite armed forces, who was killed in a US strike almost 5 years ago. So this prayer address was indeed very crucial at a time when West Asia is on edge and in turmoil, and it was to commemorate the death of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. So indeed this address comes at a crucial time, and some of the key points that he made was, firstly, it was a call to action to unite the Muslim community, the Islamic community, and all Islamic nations to come together. And in fact, he, in various lines, reiterated that nations have the right to defend themselves, calling Iran's recent strikes on Israel, where they rained almost 200 missiles on Israel, a right to defend themselves, an action made in self-defense. So quite crucial messaging sent out by Khamenei. And in fact, he did say that the enemy is in fact using a three-level way of striking at the Muslim Islamic nations, saying that it's not just military warfare but also psychological and economic warfare that they're using to target these Islamic nations. So quite interesting, quite significant messaging, and so far we have not received any sort of reaction from Israel and any other country so far from this on this address, but it's quite crucial messaging at a time when the West Asia is on edge and everyone's waiting to see how Israel will respond to Iran's recent attack on Tel Aviv and across Israel.
All right, viewers, moving on to next breaking that we are tracking from this point. The recent Israeli airstrike on Lebanese capital Beirut has reportedly targeted senior Hezbollah official Hashim Saifuddin, and this man is widely regarded as the successor of the top commander and late Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. As per the reports, Israel has launched 11 consecutive strikes in Beirut as of now. All right, viewers. Joining me at this point of time is my colleague Brian. Brian, very good morning to you. And at this point, in fact, the top breaking updates that we are tracking from the conflict stuck in the Middle East is that the Israeli strikes in Beirut have targeted Hashim Saifuddin, who is a potential successor of the late Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. And in fact, Israel also accused Hezbollah of launching approximately 230 projectiles from Lebanon to the Israeli territory. What are the latest that you are tracking in this matter?
Well, Simran, definitely there have been reports that indicate that the target of the intense Israeli airstrike that happened in Beirut was Hashim Saifuddin. Now, he is the head of Hezbollah's executive council, and Saifuddin is also widely regarded as the likely successor to Hassan Nasrallah. Following Nasrallah's assassination that happened last week, even there was a lot of reports also that was happening where they were, and also we got to know from our sources as well that stated that Saifuddin was the focus of the strike. However, yes, the IDF has still not yet issued any official statement as such. But now, yes, there have been major attacks also that are happening where Israel also launched airstrikes on Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters also in Beirut, and which even followed the death of 8 Israeli soldiers also near the Lebanese border. And this also comes in the rising tensions with Iran after Tehran also launched its largest missile attack on Israel as well. And even to the fact, last week also, Hassan Nasrallah was also eliminated, where Israel also reported that there were an attack or barrages of attacks that was happening. But now, yes, from our sources also that we are getting to know that now Hashim Safieddini is the target that has been identified by Israel, and in their intense airstrike also Hashim Safieddini, who is the head of Hezbollah's executive council, is the main target. Simran.
All right, Brian, thank you for sharing the latest. While the Middle East.
And to breaking news just into our newsroom right now that's bringing some of Wayne County government to a standstill.
This is unfolding as we speak. 7 investigator Ross Jones in the newsroom right now, live with what he's learned so far. Ross, what more can you tell us?
Well, Sam and Glenda, the information changing by the minute, in part because county leaders are still trying to come to grips with how much of government has been affected. But here's what we know right now. Within the last 24 hours, Wayne County says they were the victim of a hack. They are not certain who's behind it, but say the hackers have made a financial demand. The hack has affected servers throughout county government, and its impact is being felt in departments all over. At the Treasurer's office, anyone trying to pay their taxes online right now cannot. The county sheriff's office has been affected too, with attorneys telling us they can't schedule any visits with their clients inside the jail. And for many jail inmates, the hack is having a huge impact because it has stopped the county from bonding anyone out of jail until this is resolved. At the Register of Deeds, where property records are stored and real estate transactions are recorded, the office has been shut down since noon. Representatives of the clerk's office and the prosecutor have not told us how, if at all, the hack has affected them, but both of their websites are currently down. Wayne County Courts tells us it's business as usual so far. We'll see if that changes. We're told the FBI and Michigan State Police are both investigating this cyber attack. It is not clear again what demand has been made by the hackers or who they are. We'll continue to follow this breaking story on later editions of 7 News Detroit. For now, I'm Ross Jones in the newsroom.
All right, Ross, thank you for that update there.
Today, producer and videographer Sadie Pettit and I spent some time in and around Damascus, Virginia, where the remnants of Hurricane Helene came and stayed. And the devastation is really remarkable. While the downtown city street looks pretty clean, there was water in every building downtown. Outfitters here have been flooded. They're going to have to clean up all their bicycles. That's a small thing. We've also had houses that were moved 8 feet off their foundations while the people were inside them. Sadie and I talked to several residents here, some of whom were in their houses as they moved with the rising of the Laurel Fork Creek, and they didn't know if they were going to live.
One resident told us that the waters rose in a matter of 20 minutes.
This is a town that lives and dies on recreation. There are so many outfitters here. The crossing of the Appalachian Trail and the intersection with the Virginia Creeper Trail. The Virginia Creeper Trail is pretty much gone above Damascus right now. At least 3 bridges have washed out entirely, and a lot of the trail along the rivers and creeks are also just gone because they were scraped off by the force of the water. In town, all of the debris and the branches and the small houses washed up against a bridge, backing it up and rerouting the river through town. This led to the collapse of one home, and we talked to the owners, and they had a good sense of humor about it, but everybody here is in shock. People here need help. They're worried that all the resources are going to places like Asheville, which needs our help too, but that they're forgotten here in the mountains. We want to do what we can to shine a light on this community. While we were here, there was a community meeting, and right now you can only get into town if you're wearing a red wristband. That's only for workers and residents. So if you want to come help, don't just show up. Please reach out to the Red Cross or some other organization. You can't get into town without passing the checkpoint, and they're not going to let you in unless you have a reason to be here. This is such a beautiful town. It is such an important place in the hearts of Virginians. So many hundreds of thousands of people have ridden the Creeper Trail. So many people walk the Appalachian Trail. The businesses here are going to need help. It's going to be years before they're back on their feet. At Blue Ridge PBS, we spend a lot of time traveling the region and highlighting things like the Creeper Trail, like Damascus, This town is almost completely dependent on the tourist trade. Many of the rental houses that people have been renting for years here and are the lifeblood of this community are gone or off their foundations. Without tourists, this town could become a shell of itself. So as they get things back together, it's important that we start coming to Damascus again when it's safe and spending our money and supporting the local merchants. I talked to Adam Johnson, who I featured in a story last spring about the Creeper Trail. His whole facility was flooded. The back of his building is gone. He lost a whole shed full of bicycles. He managed to save his vans and some of the trailers that he uses to haul bicycles. But Adam told us that his business isn't going to exist if the Creeper Trail doesn't come back. And right now, the Creeper Trail from White Top to Damascus is gone. I want to say something about the law enforcement folks and the VDOT folks, the emergency management people who are here. They are working tirelessly and around the clock to get this community back together. They also wanted me to thank all of the folks who have sent food to keep them going as they're working long, long hours.
The Virginia Department of Emergency Management has opened a donation and resource center in Damascus. We are also aware that Montgomery and Giles County have also been affected, as well as many other places in Southwest Virginia. You can find more information on how you can help at blueridgepbs.org.
Even if you don't live in a flood-prone area, it's still very easy these days to end up buying a flood-damaged car, which could end up costing you thousands of dollars in repairs.
Tropical storms and hurricanes, like Helene, leave homes, roads, and thousands of vehicles underwater.
So we can look at this particular vehicle right here.
Certified mechanic Matt Overbeck showed us how to check a used car for signs of flood damage.
We can pull this plastic down and look.
Matt says look under the dashboard for signs of mud or rust on the wiring. Then check the trunk.
Then this tray right here, it actually covers the spare tire. Water could pool in around this area, this low point of the car.
Matt says inspect the carpeting, especially underneath seats, and check headlights and taillights for signs of moisture inside.
It's very easy for moisture or water to actually get into the taillights and fill up.
If you don't live along the coast, you might be thinking this isn't a problem for you, except.
So it's very common for scammers to go into areas where there has been flooding, and they will offer cash or other incentives to owners to sell their car that's been flood damaged.
Patrick Olson with Carfax says people will clean up water-damaged cars and sell them in other parts of the country.
In places like Ohio, in places like Utah, Minnesota, Illinois, we see relatively high numbers there because it's easier to sell in areas where it's not top of mind for owners to think about flooding.
If you accidentally buy a flood-damaged car, Matt Overbeck says electrical problems could last forever.
Upwards of 80 computer modules in modern vehicles. It doesn't take much. If they get wet or get submerged in water, in a lot of cases, there's no way to repair it.
Which is why you want to avoid one so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese.
Have you ever heard a sound so mysterious, so powerful that it stopped you in your tracks? Imagine a deafening boom echoing through the sky, leaving you and your neighbors looking up in confusion and fear. These are skyquakes, unexplained booming noises heard all around the world. Scientists and researchers have been scratching their heads for years, trying to pinpoint the cause of these unsettling sounds. Some believe they're linked to natural events like earthquakes or atmospheric disturbances. Picture the Earth shifting beneath our feet, or the atmosphere reacting to something unknown. Others suggest it could be human activities, military tests, underground explosions, or even secret government projects. Yet no theory holds all the answers. The uncertainty around skyquakes adds to their eerie nature. The booms often come without warning in the dead of night or the quiet of dawn, shaking windows and hearts alike. Imagine the psychological toll on small communities, people afraid to go to sleep, children waking up in tears, neighbors gathering to discuss what on earth could be causing these sounds. Every time a skyquake occurs, it leaves behind more questions than answers. Why here? Why now? As the frequency and intensity of these booms increase, so does the tension and fear among those who hear them. Are we on the brink of discovering a new natural phenomenon, or is there something more sinister at play? The mystery of skyquakes continues to drive curiosity and speculation. And as we search for answers, these sounds remain an unsolved global phenomenon. Until the day we finally understand why the sky roars, we can only listen, wonder, and perhaps fear just a little bit more. Thanks for tuning in. If you've ever heard a skyquake, share your experience in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries unraveled.
At least 14 people have been killed in floods and landslides after a severe rainstorm hit Bosnia overnight. Several people are still reported missing, and the army has been dispatched to help with rescue operations.
Jutros kad sam se probudio, negdje oko 5:30, čuo sam kiša je padala. Izašao sam na terasu I tada sam vidio da poplava dole, Sarajska, Kreševska. Sišao sam dole, bio sam dole oko 15 preko 6, užas. Ljudima je načinilo štetu, poplavilo, ušlo u objekte. Tako da sam od jutros šetam po ovim kuda mogu da prođem I stvarno je užas šta je se desilo.
Authorities in the towns of Jablanica and Kiselyuk say the power stopped working overnight and mobile phones lost their signal. Jablanica fire station also says the town is completely inaccessible because roads and train lines are closed. Heavy rains and strong winds are also reported in neighbouring Croatia, where several roads are closed and the capital Zagreb is preparing for the Sava River to burst its banks.
The icy landscapes of Antarctica are turning green at a faster rate than previously thought, researchers warned, a change that could spark dramatic shifts in its fragile ecosystems. Plant cover on the northern Antarctic peninsula expanded more than 12 times over the past 35 years, a new study has found. Satellite imagery analysis by researchers shows that vegetation on the peninsula grew from less than 1 square kilometers in 1986 to almost 12 km by 2021. The rate of greening accelerated in recent years, when the Earth observed some of the hottest global temperatures and glaciers melted at a record rate. Between 2016 and 2021, the Antarctic Peninsula saw a 30% increase in vegetation, the research published in Nature Geoscience said. Researchers believe it is a link to reduced sea ice cover due to increasing global temperatures. There is a clear but non-linear trend towards a greater area of vegetation cover across the Antarctic Peninsula in recent decades, the study said. Warmer temperatures and increased precipitation are creating a more favorable condition for mosses, which now dominate these newly vegetated areas. Mosses play a key role in converting rocky surfaces into soil.
You need to hear this if you're a supporter of LGBTQ+ rights. The European Union has just made history. The EU's top court has ruled that all member countries must recognize legal gender changes made in other EU nations. This decision ensures transgender individuals can live authentically and without unnecessary barriers. The case involved Aryan Mirzarafi Ahi, a dual citizen of Britain and Romania. After obtaining legal recognition in Britain, Romanian authorities refused to update his identity documents. The court emphasized that gender identity is a fundamental aspect of personal identity. This ruling means inconsistencies between recognized gender identity and official documents will no longer be tolerated. This decision strengthens protections for transgender individuals across all EU member states. This is a victory for human rights and a huge step towards equality. Stay tuned for more updates.